Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another really interesting combo to run. We've tested these particular shells a number of times on the channel, but in other variations of them. We have never tested this particular shot size of them. We know that they're not always the most impressive performing shells, but maybe this combo might be the magical performer. One of you guys has wanted to see several different lead sixes through this particular choke combo as well. So combining everything here may or may not work out for us, especially with these shells and their limitations, and putting them through today's particular choke constriction as well. So we'll see what happens. But first up, for the shells we've got today, I brought out some more of the Federal Grand Slam loads, but these ones are the 12 gauge 3-inch 1 3/4 ounce payload of sixes at about 1200 feet per second. And these Grand Slam shells do have the flight control flex wad in them as well. I'm not really a big fan of the flex wad in particular. The regular flight control is better in my experience, but we've got copper plating and buffering as well. So in theory, these should be a good turkey load, but in practice, or at least in my experience in testing with them, they have never been impressive through pretty well everything we've ever put them through. We've tried these in 12 gauge in different shot sizes. We've even tried the 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge ones. We've tried the 20 gauge ones, which have honestly been a little more impressive, all things considered, than the 12 gauge ones. So will the sixes be any better? We have not tried any of these in 6, so maybe so, maybe not, I don't know. And for our setup today, I brought out the Remington 1187. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for our choke, we're going to be running the Hevi-Shot turkey choke. It's a 662 constriction, so a little more constriction than what we've been testing here recently with the Grand Slam shells anyway. That may or may not work out with these being a lead 6, and it may or may not work out with it being a flight control wad. I already see it coming. Somebody's going to inevitably comment, you got to run those turkey shells through a cylinder bore choke. That's the only way they're going to perform. And straight up, you're wrong. I don't know what else to say. I've proven that before. These are a turkey load. They need a turkey choke to actually constrict them down some. So who knows? This combo may work. It may not. It may completely ruin our pattern. We'll see what happens. But for our test today, we're running everything the same as usual. We've got the turkey target set up at 40 yards and the chrono to get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target, and we'll see what these Grand Slam 6s can actually do for us today. We've never tested the 6s, and we've never ran a Grand Slam shell through that Hevi-Shot 662. So will it work? Let's take our shot and see how good of a pattern we might be able to get from it. All right, that shell gave us 1198 through the chrono. We have a box claim of 1200, so we pretty much nailed it right on the money. So looking good here for a velocity, but how good of a pattern did they actually give us? Let's go check it out and see. All right, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and it's probably about what I expected to see, really. Nothing overly impressive to look at here, that's for sure. Do we have a dead bird? Yes, we do. There are several through the lower part of the spine there that would have done the job. Our core might have favored a touch lower on that turkey target this time out of that particular combination, but it really kind of wouldn't have mattered too much necessarily unless we were really up there around his head and neck, because this pattern is just kind of a little bit of broad area of shot across most of the paper, really. Not a whole lot of real estate on here that isn't hit with a pellet. Even if we did favor low, we still have stuff all the way up to the top edge of the paper there. And even throughout the main portion of our pattern, it is still a little splotchy as well. There's a void dead center bottom of that turkey target there. It's a little thin up towards the top half of our core area, and the farther we get to the edges, the more just strung out it is all over the place, especially over there off the right. So is this the worst pattern we've seen from these shells, or at least from the Grand Slam shells across the board? I don't think so. I think we have seen worse. However, this is not impressive in my personal opinion. It's good enough, like these shells typically are. It will kill birds out to 40 yards, but you're going to always have pellets in your meat, and you're always going to have to watch out for other birds being close to them, because this is the same result we typically see, just these much more broad and a little bit all over the place type of patterns. Ultimately, I'm not really too surprised. We can try other chokes, we can try other constrictions, but I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty common occurrence with these Grand Slam 6s. I was hoping they'd be the magical combination or the magical performer, but I don't know that they're going to be. So let's pull down that turkey target. I'll finish drawing our circles and counting some pellets, and we'll see how good the pattern actually is. Sometimes it can be a little deceiving with that turkey target up there, but I think we're going to see more of the same story. Good enough, but not anything overly impressive either. Okay, now we've got our turkey target down and out of the way, and it looks about like I thought it would overall. We have a 10 and 20 inch circle drawn here, and within our 10-inch core, we have 91 pellets. Usually with a pretty basic lead load like this, I like to see 100 or more pellets, so we're close, but it's still not an overly impressive core either. There's kind of a diagonal stripe right down through the middle of it there. That's a pretty decent little void. It's not necessarily detrimental. That core would still do the job for sure out to 40 yards, but you can see that it is a little on the thin side. Outside of that, with our 20-inch leeway ring, we pick up an additional 144 pellets, and that 20-inch ring looks halfway decent. Nothing major going on there. Pretty decent spread of pellets. For a wing shooting pattern or something, that would be a pretty good performer all day long. For a little longer range shots, I would run it, although it's definitely more shell than what you would need to do that kind of stuff with. But outside of that, we have our fair share of scattered stuff all over the place as well. Not overly condensed down, no surprise there. That looks about how I thought it would overall. So once again, I'm gonna say that these aren't overly impressive. That's not a terrible pattern necessarily. It is good enough to do the job. We have seen much worse out of other turkey loads for sure. We've probably seen worse out of these Grand Slams as well in other variations. So for what it is, pretty typical overall, I would say. Is it a combo I would run? If it's what I had, sure, but I still don't know why anybody would choose these over anything Winchester makes on the store shelf. Everything from Winchester is going to outshoot that pattern right there. And for just the sake of it as well, here's a Remington Nitro Turkey pattern as well. That's a lead 6 through a very similar choke. Same exact core, 91 pellets, a few less pellets within the 20-inch ring, but I kind of like that core and that pattern a little bit better overall. I think the main portion of it is a little more condensed down. So even a Remington Nitro Turkey 6 is probably equivalent or better than what these are going to be able to give us. Of course, this is one test through one choke. We're going to do more with it and see what happens, but I have a feeling that this is going to be the pretty much average for what these are going to be able to do. So for some people, that's going to be just fine. They may want a cheaper shell with a little more leeway, hunting birds in close. It's going to work perfectly fine. But for the vast majority of other people, me included, they would probably still go with a Winchester load over that performance right there, because they will outshoot it. So I'm not too terribly surprised, all things considered. And here's the Flight Control Flex Wad from that shell. The Flex Wads have the slots up the side instead of the big square flaps. Again, I'm not a huge fan of these. Personally anyway. This one's no major damage. Everything looks perfectly fine. Nothing out of the ordinary at all to see here. And I can tell you right now, running these through a much more open choke, think cylinder, improved cylinder, something like that, because I know somebody's going to comment about doing that. I can tell you, it ain't going to work. We've tried that kind of stuff before. With the buckshot, that is true to an extent in the regular flight control wads, but with these and a turkey load, it's just not going to happen. But as far as the wad goes, very typical looking, nothing I'm concerned with here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? I think we pretty well covered it. It's an okay pattern. It would certainly do the job out to 40 yards just fine, but that doesn't mean that it's a great pattern or that it's an impressive pattern at all. It's honestly about what I expected to see. That's kind of been the typical average to kind of above average for these Grand Slam shells, really. They're always good enough, but they're never better than anything else on the store shelf. I mean, you got to think, even that pattern over here is a Remington Nitro Turkey 6. Very equivalent shells. I think the Remington shells might even be a few dollars cheaper, and that's got the exact same core on it, and the rest of the pattern is a little more condensed down as well. So I just don't know what the appeal is for these shells. You would think they would be much better than they are with how they're loaded, but they're just not. That's kind of been the case with most federal turkey loads, in my opinion anyway. Even the TSS stuff is they're always good enough, but they're never better than anything else on the shelf. I can tell you right now, Winchester Super X for 11 or 12 bucks a box is going to outshoot that right there. So for 15 bucks a box, I don't know why you would get these. That's just my personal opinion about them anyway. If that's a shell you want to run, certainly going to do the job. You're going to kill the turkey just the same, but you may be picking some pellets out of your meat, whereas if you were to run a Longbeard XR shell, you wouldn't have that issue, but to each their own. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Grand Slam loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a pattern or a combo you would actually hunt with? Or or you kind of like me to where there are still much better options out there for around the same price, you'd much rather run a different shell than what that gave you, and maybe what other combos do you want to see us run those shells through that you think might get maybe a little better performance than that from them. I think we're going to be lucky to see something a little better, but who knows? Maybe we go to a really super tight choke and we can overcompensate for what the flight control wad gives us. It's an idea anyway, but let me know what you guys might want to see. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.